This is John Williams of the National Non-Food Crop Centre in the UK, and we are at the European Bioplastics Conference in Berlin. And John, tell me what you do.
I head up the materials side of the National Non-Food Crop Centre in the UK. We are, in effect, the National Renewable Centre. So we do a lot of policy advice and evidence gathering for UK government, and also increasingly the European Commission.
Yeah. So, what is the state for non-food crops as opposed to food crops?
Yeah, it's a bit of a misnomer now, because when it was first started sort of 5 years ago, it was sort of thought that the sort of bio-industry was going to be derived from non-food materials, and now of course there's an overlap in terms of using byproducts from wheat and the food chain in general. So that's really why it's sort of changed to the renewable agenda rather than the crop agenda. I mean, what you do obviously see non-food crops is directly using things like fibres and insulation and that sort of area.
And so what's the situation in the United Kingdom today? I mean, how is production?
Production, generally of agricultural materials?
Yes.
I mean, obviously we are a very efficient producer of agricultural materials, and if that was mirrored, across other areas of Europe, which are perhaps less efficient, then we'd have more material to derive from. But if you look at things like wheat, there's an argument over, wheat's impingement on food, on non-food, on fuel and materials and so forth. Yet, despite the poor summer last year, for example, it looks like we're on target for a 3 million tonne surplus, for example, of wheat. So, it's not quite as an easy argument to make as some people like to make it, I think.
So it has been put forward very clearly by certain people that the food prices went up because we're using too much biofuels in our cars and things like that. And where's the truth in this?
Well, I think we're not there yet. I mean, the calculations we did certainly on the market were that if you look at the 5% fuel obligation, for example, which we were committed to, then that would not impinge on a food supply situation at all. If you look at what happened with regarding the food prices, well, look what happened to the oil prices, and I think we are an oil derived society, I'm afraid, and everything pretty much comes down to that, and many commodities mirror that, be it agricultural ones or otherwise.
Will it ever be possible to start generating enough biofuel to run all the cars in the UK?
Not for a very long time, I've got to say. I mean, obviously the technology is improving all the time. What is commonly called first generation fuel, which is directly from crop to fuel, if you like, is the one really that I think that's going to be disappearing fairly quickly, because whilst it's a reasonably efficient method of producing the material, in a sort of sustainability criteria, it probably isn't once you get above sort of 7%. But if you start looking at the production of things like syngas, where you're using waste products and waste materials to produce the backbone materials that produce, say, biodiesel or even bioethanol, then that becomes a little bit more sensible, so you then start to get significant percentages. But we are, I don't know, perhaps 10 years away from that yet.
Oh, that's quite quick. So bioethanol being petrol, if you like, and biodiesel being what I put in my car. Yeah. And what about as far as packaging is concerned?
Packaging, obviously, falling into materials. I mean, what's impinged on packaging particularly is in the food packaging. Okay, that's where sort of the consumers tend to see it, that's for sure. But I think it sort of had a bit of a false start, but both in terms of what was coming out from so-called bio-based packaging was the scale up of the production of material wasn't there, even though the functionality appeared to be there. And what actually happened was the functionality in some cases wasn't there either. So it had a bit of a false start. We're now, I think, back on track. You're now seeing real developments in terms of functionality benefits and so forth, as well as renewable content, but based on proper sustainability criteria, proper LCA measurement, and comparing it to like for like with its petro-based equivalents. And really, actually, the petro-based equivalents are the ones that have got to play catch-up on what do they mean by sustainability, what do they mean by energy balances and so forth. It isn't exactly clear. So there is a bit of a merge, and I always say, at the end of the day, it's a bio-based plastic or a petro-based plastic. It's plastic, so we've got to go for functionality first. If we can build in renewability and save carbon, even better.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. Thank you.